So you've made it all the way to the end of your studying and you're ready to go take the test. All that's left is for you to have a positive interaction with the exam. I'm Brian Marks with Knopman Marks Financial Training, and I'd like to give you some tips on exam management strategies. Let's talk first about your pacing. Some people say, all right, I have 105 minutes for the SIE exam, let's use that as an example. I'm going to divide that by 85 graded questions. That gives me about 80 seconds per question. That doesn't work at all. How are you going to apply that in the test? What are you going to do after the first question? Say, all right, now I have 84 questions left. I have 103 minutes, so let me just quickly reprorate my time. That doesn't work. So what we recommend is dividing up the exam into 30-minute segments. For example, on the SIE, you need to get through about 20 questions every 30 minutes. And that 20 questions every 30 minutes actually applies to most of the FINRA exams. So every 30 minutes, you're going to do a quick time check. If after 30 minutes you're through 18 or 19 questions, you're fine. Great, because that pace builds some extra time. If after an hour you're through 37, 38, 39 questions, fine, great. If after 30 minutes you're only through 12 questions, you got to pick up the pace a little. But that's okay, because you still have most of the exam left to catch up. What you want to avoid is not realizing that you're behind until you have 15 minutes left in the test. If you're behind and you're running out of time, then you might have a hard time finishing. So you want to be aware of the clock from the very first question of the test. Also, you definitely want to use the answer choices and the last sentence of the question to your advantage. Especially on the long questions with multiple paragraphs, lots of numbers, get to the punchline. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of the question, all the way down to the bottom, and read the last sentence of the question first. That way, when you're reviewing the question, you already know what they're going to be asking you. You'd like to avoid a situation where you're reading all these numbers in the question, doing all these interim calculations, you get to the bottom and it was a regulatory question, now you've wasted some time. So get to the punchline, then go to the top, and now you're going to be reading with a purpose. Some of you are perfectionists. I have a couple things to say to you. If you like to double, triple, and maybe even quadruple check your math, great, that's wonderful. But you're not going to do it when you get to each question. You're going to do it when you get all the way to the end of the test. You can mark those questions for review, go back and double and triple check your work. Okay, double and triple checking is great. If you double check 20 questions and you find one careless mistake, that's good. But if it's at the expense of not getting to the last question of the test or even the last 10 questions of the exam, now that's a net loss of 9. So if you want to double check, you can, but only once you're done with the entire exam. Let's talk about some pitfalls that you want to avoid. I told you at the beginning of training that the test is designed to be the hardest in the middle. So some people say, all right, Brian, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to skip the questions in the middle. And I say skip in quotes because you can't actually skip. You have to choose an answer. But you might say, all right, I'm just going to choose C, move on, and come back. Mark those questions for review and come back at the end. That doesn't work at all. Here's why. First, you're going to waste time reading it, deciding you want to skip it. Second, when you get to the end, now you're going to have a mess of flagged questions. Some of those are questions that you legitimately answer, but you might want to double check your work. And some of those are the questions that you skipped. But you're not going to know what's what, and it becomes very confusing. And here's the most compelling reason to not do that. The exam is designed to your advantage with the hardest questions in the middle. Psychometricians who build the exams know the candidates perform the best in the test in the middle, when you're warmed up and when you're not tired. So by pushing those hard questions to the end, you're actually making your brain work harder when your brain is tired. So give each question one good shot. You can always mark a question review if you're not 100% certain and come back, but you shouldn't start messing around with the order in which you're answering questions. And really most important is do not try to project your performance on the exam. It is impossible to gauge how you're doing. Human nature is to only remember the bad ones. And finally, you want to be confident in there when you're taking the test. Remember, you are shooting for a solid C- as a passing score. Your brain, especially if you're coming straight out of school, is not calibrated to C- level. You can miss 1 out of every 4 questions and pass. If you miss 1 out of every 5, you pass easily. So don't get discouraged in the middle of the test. Hang in there. The only question that matters is the one in front of your face. The last question doesn't matter. The next question doesn't matter. Only the question on the screen in front of you. The worst conversations that we have with candidates are when they say, Brian, you know, I thought I was getting a 50, so mentally I kind of checked out halfway through the exam, and I missed passing by one question. That sucks. You've already gone to the trouble to get up that day, get dressed, show up to the testing center, give them ID, put your stuff in a locker, sit down at the booth, and actually take the exam. You might as well try to pass so you don't have to do that all again. So fight through all 2.5 hours, 1 hour and 45 minutes, however long your exam is. Stay focused, and you'll be in great shape to pass. Best of luck on your examination.